It's an honor to be here. First things first, if I ever do run for office or Secretary of Defense, I'm going to hire him to testify on my behalf. He said nicer things about me than most people that are kin to me have ever said. I've been to two events at the invitation of these two gentlemen, and the one consistent thing is that I've probably gained 5 pounds from those two events. The food is good. I appreciate the food. It's an honor to be here. I think for me, when I come to this event, I sit and listen and try to learn. I'm asking questions while other people are speaking, while trying to listen to them as well, because I'm very curious. But then things start to make sense, and it's not that complicated. I was on a show earlier today on Fox News. It's kind of like CNN, but completely different. Unless you live in an airport, you might have seen us. And we were on a show today, and we had to do a segment on patriotism and how one side of the political aisle seems a lot less patriotic than the other. A poll, 86% for those on the right, and it was like 30-something% for those on the left, are proud of their country. And so they went around the table the way that show was laid out, and they asked me, kind of matter-of-factly, why are some Americans not patriotic? And it's easy to get mad about that and say something really mean like, because they're on the left and they hate this country. But it's got to be deeper than that. Because when you go to war for a country, you don't get to hate half of it. You go to war for the whole country. And so I thought about it as they were going around the table, and I kind of realized that for most of them, I don't think they know what patriotism really is. And maybe that's our fault for fighting wars abroad and not letting it punch them in the face too often. And so what is patriotism? I don't know if I'm a very patriotic guy. I don't buy a lot of, I don't line my yard in American flags. I don't buy a lot of Screaming Eagle T-shirts. I don't put a big sign in my front yard that says, I love this country. So maybe I'm not patriotic. Maybe if I'm nothing else, if I'm not a patriot, I'm just a warrior. So if you ask me what patriotism is, I would love to tell you that it's sitting around a table and celebrating this country on the 4th of July. I wish that's what patriotism is. I wish it was that simple and that easy. I think for most Americans, that's exactly what it is. I don't hate them for it. I'm not even mad at them about it. I have to look at it as the fruit of my labor. Because we have a class of Americans that are willing to stand up and fight when the fight comes to us. We don't get to choose when we go to war, when we exist to live and they exist to kill. I think you guys know a lot about that. So what is patriotism? I guess patriotism, if it's anything, it's not service. Service is doing something for someone. You can be of service by writing a check. You can be of service by grabbing a door. But do those things, do they hurt you? Are you giving of yourself? I think if patriotism is anything, it's sacrifice. It's giving of something you hold dear, whether it be your time, your money, your family, sending your sons and daughters, sending yourself. And I don't say that because I stand up here and I don't have legs. Listen, it's on tape. I said very matter-of-factly and believed it. I didn't lose my legs. I was given a second chance at life. That's perspective. But sacrifice, that's patriotism. If we go back a few hundred years in this country, it was a huge gamble. A lot of men were willing to give up everything they held dear to include their own life because this country was worth it. The way we say it is, I'm willing to give up all of my tomorrows for the promise that you may have one more. That's patriotism. And you know what? Everybody shouldn't have to be that kind of patriotic all the time. And you don't have to be in this country. You don't have to be willing to die for those around you in this country all the time. But sometimes we need some that do and some that are. That's who our veterans are. That's who serves our country. That's who their parents are. That's who their kids are. They're willing to give up their mom and dad. And I've met plenty. This past weekend, I had 3 of the Marines that I served with and were with me when I was injured at my house. And it was my job to interview them, and really they ended up interviewing me. Like, how in the hell did this kid from Georgia get this job? The guy that laid on his back looked up at the sky as a bomb tech and said, I wonder how they get those satellites up there. That's who they knew. But I also had the widow of Daniel Greer. Daniel Greer was standing beside me when I stepped on an IED, and when it took my legs, it took his life. And her name is Stacy, and she's still the happiest woman I know. She's got a son with Daniel that Daniel barely knew, and he barely knew his dad. He's got one memory, and it's a She's got a picture of it, and it's them on the beach. And so I may not know many patriots, but I knew Daniel Greer. And that's a patriot. That's patriotism. So when somebody says they don't love this country, I really don't care. That doesn't necessarily make them unpatriotic. But what are you willing to give up to change it or make it better or to keep it here? What are you willing to sacrifice? And so as much as I don't know about Jewish people or the history of Israel, there's one thing that's pretty obvious to me. You don't get to be unpatriotic when everyone around you wants you gone. And when people in this world say death to you and then act on it, like October 7th. I'm not a politician, and I'm probably not the best guy to be on TV. I try to be as even-keeled as I can, but I can't help but tell the truth. The truth is I'm a warrior. And for warriors, things are a lot simpler than they are for politicians, and that's on purpose. We need politicians too. And in the world that I grew up in, the world I became a man in, the United States Marine Corps, Iraq and Afghanistan, I had no hate in my heart for anyone. But if you said your mission is to kill me, well, brother, my mission became to kill you. Because if you come after the things I love, the people I love, the things I believe in, I've got no choice than to fight and maybe die. Because those things are worth it. It's a calling. It's an honor. I've said multiple times there's not a lot of honor in war because war is a terrible thing. Killing is a terrible thing. It's one of the worst things we can do to each other. And if it's a sin, I'll stand for judgment. Because I will absolutely do everything in my power to defend the innocent that I love and I believe in. And that's this country. And from what I see, that's Israel. For a lot of people. A lot of patriots. A lot of warriors. The last time I spoke, we hadn't dropped any bombs yet. And I'm not going to lie to you. I was excited. I thought it was the coolest thing I'd seen in a long time. And because I'm not a politician and I probably shouldn't be on TV, the next day, I was kind of pissed that Trump didn't let them go for a little bit longer, you know? I mean, come on. You get them on the ropes, you got to finish the job. Maybe that's not the right political move. Maybe there are reasons that I have to decipher to understand. But I have the, I guess, the blissful ignorance of seeing things for what I believe them to be. And when somebody wants to kill me and tries to do it, you don't get a second chance at that. I love this country. I love the people in it more than my own life. And I get to say that because I've had a chance to prove it. And I think there are a generation of guys and gals just like me just waiting for the opportunity, and I hope they never have to have it. But for all of you in this room right now, the connection you have to a country that fights every single day to stay, the one silver lining is that you may have an entire nation of people that don't have to wake up and ask themselves, what is there to fight for? That's powerful. That's cohesive in a way that I had to join the Marine Corps to understand. The truth is this country is absolutely spoiled rotten, as my mama would say. Doesn't make us bad, doesn't make the people bad. But the truth is this is a country where you get to wake up, and if you want it to be your biggest problem is what am I going to do today? Not, well, I live through the day. I brought a book with me today. A lot of you got a copy of it. And those were heroes. I'm not a hero. I'm a patriot for sure, but I'm not a hero. I lost my legs because I took a step in the wrong direction. You don't become a hero for making a mistake. But those guys and gals in that book are heroes because they live in communities and they choose to fight for their community every single day against the terrible things that happen and against the terrible acts of evil. They go into apartment buildings when there's domestic violence and they see the worst that human beings can do to each other. And sometimes they fall short. They don't get the kids out of the house in time. It burns down. Sometimes they don't deliver medical aid quick enough and someone dies. Sometimes they're a police officer and they see a situation and they know that this person is mistreating that person, but without the victim saying the right words, they have to walk away, and who knows if the next time they come back it's too late. But they experience that almost every day on the job, and for whatever reasons I can't fathom, they put their uniform and gear on and go back out the next day and do it again. We give them reasons to lose hope in us every day. And every day it's only the hope in us that keeps them moving. The people that respond when things turn crazy, when they turn evil, when they turn bad, those are special people. I hope that if you take nothing else from this today, it's the power of believing in something bigger than yourself. That's what those first responders do. So early in their career, they were faced with the worst thing that could potentially happen. They saw the innocence in life, a child murdered, killed in a car wreck, die from disease. And that haunts you forever. I've been to war twice. The only two bad things that haunt me are kids getting hurt that shouldn't have. But early on in their career, they saw that. And they saw it in their own hometown. They saw it in an intersection they drive through to take their kids to school every day. And that very next day, they had a choice. Did I really sign up for this? Do I really want to do this? And that very next day, they went to work and another thing happened and they showed up and they saved a life. They got the kids out in time. They delivered the medical help. They arrested the bad guy before he did it again. Those are heroes, and we live among them. There's some in this room right now. It's inspiring. I'm not just here to pump them up, although they deserve it. It's to look at you and say, what can you do? Can you appreciate it? Can you be genuine in that appreciation? Can you remind yourself that even in this country there are things worth fighting for, worth believing in, worth sacrificing for? We have an example across the big water that's doing it every day. So why can't we? And in this country, maybe fighting for it is being a little bit more loud about the things we enjoy. Maybe it's closing our mouth and opening both ears about the things we don't understand. I don't know. But calling names and being mad doesn't get us anywhere. We have to love this country to fight for it. I've never been to Israel. I plan to go. I can't imagine those people don't love their country. Or they just wouldn't be there. They'd leave. I don't know if it's that easy, but I tried to get out of bad situations I didn't want to be in unless I needed to be there and wanted to. And I respect that tremendously. 4th of July is going to happen. We're going to celebrate Independence Day, and the majority of Americans won't understand what they're celebrating. Blissful ignorance, the fruits of my labor. You all, unfortunately, don't get that opportunity because I just got a chance to tell you about it. I hope that you go and tell somebody else about it. It's perspective. Perspective for me is easy. When I'm late, running late to go to an important meeting, and I'm driving down the road, because in Georgia, we can actually drive at speed. It's not like here it's hours per mile. Where I live, it's miles per hour. You can get on up there, you know. And then one of the rare times when you're passing by the cows and the corn and the chickens, you do hit traffic and you're running late. You got to be somewhere that's important. And you tell yourself in that moment, I can't believe the kids made me play with them in the floor for an extra 5 minutes. I can't believe I forgot to grab my keys on the way out the door. I can't believe whatever it is that's making you late. All the things you want to blame and be mad about. You're going to be late. You can't control that. But what you can do, which is what I do, is you can turn on your favorite music. You can turn the temperature to your favorite temperature, and you can accept the fact that in that moment, the worst thing about your life is that you have to be entertained and comfortable for much longer than you meant to be. It's perspective, right? I don't like having prosthetic legs. But if having prosthetic legs means I get to stand in front of you, they're worth it every single day and twice on Sunday. Perspective is understanding the sacrifices and the things that hurt can be worth something, can be a blessing. Sometimes a responsibility feels like sacrifice. For me, it's the greatest motivation to know there are people in this world that look to me and only me to do a thing or be a person to them. And sometimes that means sacrifice. Every time I want to go do the things I want to do, but instead I get my fingernails painted by my daughter. It's a little bit of sacrifice. And it's worth every minute of it. I appreciate the fact that you all exist and come together for things like this and support things that deserve it and that you believe in and that many other people would tell you aren't worth it. Why even care? Why bother? It's a big country. It's beautiful. Why not just live here? You come together and you fight for something. And you support those that do. That's an amazing thing. As far as I'm concerned, In Israel, you celebrate Independence Day every day, just by being there and knowing that the fight's not going away, but you aren't either. I'm inspired by that. I hope my son never has to fight a war, especially not in the Middle East, because we don't have a good track record over there. But if he does, I know he's going to do it for the right reasons, even if our government doesn't. And I know there are going to be people in this country and maybe even across the world that believe in him and what he's doing and believing that there's something worth fighting for. That's what this country is. That's what 4th of July is. And I'm pretty sure that's what Israel is. I thank you all for opening up not just your dinner and microphone, but your religion, your culture, your purpose, your mission, and the thing that you believe in that's worth fighting for you. Thank you for opening that up to me, letting me learn, ask questions that would probably embarrass a lot of people. I can't thank you enough. I'm humbled to be here. Lastly, let me say this. Please don't say anything else super nice about me. I've hit my fill and it's very uncomfortable. You just say thanks. I appreciate that. And most importantly, people come up to me and they say, thank you for your service. It's a great thing to hear. At this point, my service is running my mouth, so I don't know what I feel about that. I imagine when they say thank you for your service, what they really mean is, I'm sorry you lost your legs. You understand now, service isn't about the mistakes you made or the injuries you had. It was the willingness. It was raising your right hand and choosing to fight for something. So if you want to call me a hero, you better say it to every single person that's ever raised their right hand and chose to serve and sacrifice, because that's what makes anyone worth saying thank you to. So when you say thank you for your service, I've come up with something to say back that makes a lot of sense to me, and it makes it all worthwhile. And that's quite simply, thank you for being worth serving.